starting a new chapter today, quadratics, and the first topic we're going to be discussing is how to sketch graphs of expanded quadratic equations. Like this is a completely expanded quadratic equation. Here's another one. In fact, all these questions we see on the board are expanded quadratic equations. So we need to learn today how to sketch graphs when you're given an expanded quadratic equation. So in most of the cases, like in part 1, you'll be first asked to factorize the given quadratic expression. Okay, let's do 1. So in question number 1, part A, we first factorize 3x squared plus 36x. So we take 3 and x outside of the bracket. And inside we have x plus what, 12?
12.
Okay. So we're done with part A. In part B, we're now going to start sketching the curve. Okay. So how do we sketch the curve? It really helps to know the roots of the quadratic equation. What are the roots of quadratic equation? The solution of the quadratic equation. That is the values of x of the quadratic equation. So the quadratic equation is 3x bracket x plus 12 is equals to 0. So the roots are going to be x is equals to 0 and x equals to minus 12.
Yes, miss.
Right? So let's plot these on the graph. So 0 and minus 12 is, let's say, over here. So the graph will cut the x-axis at 0 and minus 12. This is what the root means. Root की जो values होती हैं, वहां से graph x-axis को cut करता है. So now our graph is a positive x square graph because the coefficient of x square is positive. So when the coefficient of x square is positive, when it's positive ax square, the graph looks like this. It's U-shaped or a parabola. And when it's negative ax square, then it's an inverted parabola or a sad face or an inverted U-shape. So since this is plus 3x square, that means it's going to go somewhat like this. इस तरह का graph. All right. But need the value of x and y at the turning point. We need the value of x and y here. The value of x is pretty straightforward. Can you give me the midpoint of 0 and minus 12?
Absolutely, miss. So, miss, the value of x at the turning point would be negative 6.
Yes, the midpoint of 0 and minus 12 is minus 6. You add these values and divide it with 2. So the x value here is minus 6. Now we have the value of x and also we have the equation of the curve. 3x squared plus 36x equals y. So we can find y from here. Y would be 3 times minus 6 whole square plus 36 times minus 6. What is that equals to? 3 times 6 squared plus 36 times minus 6. That is minus 108. So this value here would be minus 108. The y value corresponding to minus 6. So this is
equation में बस x negative 6 डाला है.
Yes. So that's the complete sketch of question 1. Okay, that's all. So let's quickly revise what we did. We factorized the given equation and given expression in part A. Then what factorization does, it helps you find the roots pretty quickly. So for part B, before you sketch, you must know where the graph cuts the x-axis, sorry. And that's the value of the roots, the two solutions of x. So we got 0 and minus 12. We plotted that, then we passed a U-shaped graph through it. And then we needed the coordinates of the turning point. So the turning point of x is the mid value of 0 and minus 12, and that came out to be minus 6. And then we substituted minus 6 in the original equation to get the corresponding value of y. So the coordinates of the turning point or the coordinates of the minimum point in this case are minus 6, minus 108. All right. So that was question number 1. Now let's do question number 3.
Could you just give me a second to write this down?
Yes, sure.
बस हमने क्वाड्रेटिक्स में डिस्क्रिमिनेंट वाला कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं पढ़ना है या हम सिर्फ ग्राफ्स वाला?
दोबारा बोलो, आवाज नहीं आई मुझे।
बस हमने इस चैप्टर में डिस्क्रिमिनेंट वाला कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ना है
करना
या?
है, बिल्कुल करना है। इस चैप्टर में टोटल 6 कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं। We're discussing the first one today.
Yes, you can move forward.
You're done? Okay, I'm
Yes.
going to clear this, and now we're going to do part 3. Question 3. Factorize 6x square minus 14x minus 40. Part A. Okay, so I'm going to directly do it from my calculator. Although we have to be very smart about it if we go down this route. So I'm getting x equals 4 and x equals minus 5 by 3. So now I'm going to take it one step back so that I don't lose marks for not showing working. X minus 4, 4 goes to the left, becomes minus 4. 3 goes to the left, becomes 3x. Minus 5 goes to the left, becomes plus 5. Bracket equals to 0. Okay, so we have factorized the required. Actually, I did not need to place equals to 0 here because we're just factorizing. We're not solving it. So this is where you stop because you're not being asked to solve it. In part B, you will solve it. You'll equate it to 0 and you got your two roots. One is x equals to 4 and the other one is x equals minus 5 by 3. Now let's sketch these. 4 will be roughly over here and minus 5 over 3. What's that? 5 divided by 3 is 1.66666. So let's say that's roughly over here. 1.6666. I'm going to place a dot on 6, representing recurring 6. Okay, now is that going to be a U-shaped graph or an inverted U-shaped graph? Can you tell me that?
Yes, it's going to be a U-shaped graph.
It's 6x square, so it's positive x square. That's going to be U-shaped, a simple parabola. So it's going to go somewhat like this.
Yes.
Okay. Now we need the coordinates of the turning point. So for x value, we find the mid value of 1.66666 and 4. So we add them and divide it with 2. So I'm going to do answer plus 4 divided by 2. That's
2.8.
Yes, 2.83333. So I'm going to write that here. This is 2.8 and then a recurring dot on 3. So 2.83333, comma, find the value of y when x has this value, y equals 6 times 2.83333 square minus 14 times 2.83333 minus 40. So I'm going to use answer key now. Because in my answer key 2.833333 is stored. So I'm going to write 6 times answer square. 6 times answer square minus 14 times answer minus 40. That's giving me minus 31.5. So minus 31.5 is the y coordinate of the turning.
All right.
All right. Okay. Let me know when you're done copying this.
I'm done.
Okay, great. Now we're going to do question 5. 5. Factorize 144x minus 6x square. Let's do that. We can take 6 common, I believe. 144 divided by 6 is 24. So 6 and x come outside of the bracket. We have 24 minus x. Okay, so that's part A. For part B, we solve this equation. 6x bracket 24 minus x equals 0. So we're getting x equals to 0 and x equals 24. So let's sketch these. 0, 24. Is it going to be a U-shaped graph or an inverted U-shaped graph?
Yes, it's going to be a U-shaped graph.
No, the x square coefficient is negative this time. It's negative 6x squared. So it's going to be
Okay,
an upside down. Yes, it's going to go like this. If the coefficient of x square is negative, then the graph is upside down. Okay, so this value here would be 12. And let's find the corresponding y value. So y equals 144 times 12 minus 6 times 12 squared. 144 into 12 minus 6 times 12 squared is 864. So, comma 860. Next,
12 comma 8. So 12 comma 864 is our coordinates.
Yes, 12 comma 860. Okay, now we're doing question 7.
Genius.
Question 7. Minus 42 minus 196x minus 2x squared. Okay, it helps to take negative value common first. Let's bring negative 1 outside so that the x square term becomes positive. So it's positive 2x squared, positive 19x, and positive 42. Okay, I'm going to directly enter this in the calculator to see if I can directly get an answer. 2, 19, and 42. Yes, I'm getting x equals minus 7 over 2 and x
But ये
equals.
तो हमने second part में नहीं करना होता.
हाँ, so I'm still यहाँ part B start हो गया. ठीक है, but for A we will need this anyway. So this would be 2x plus 7 in one bracket and x plus 6 in the other. And negative outside. Okay. For sketching, we would need to solve it by equating it to 0, and we've already shown that. Now let's sketch this. Minus 6 and minus 7 by 2. Minus 7 by 2 is, I believe, minus 3.5.
Oh, yes.
And we have minus 6 roughly over here. And is it going to be U or inverted U?
It's going to be an inverted U.
Yes, because it's negative 2x squared. So we draw an upside down U passing through these two roots. Okay, this value here will be the mid value of minus 6 and minus 3.5. So we add them and divide them with 2. Minus 6 minus 3.5 divided by 2 is minus 4.75. And we find the corresponding y by equating it in the original equation, minus 42 minus 19 times minus 4.75 minus 2 times bracket minus 4.75 whole square. So minus 42 minus 19 times answer minus 2 times answer square gives me 3.125.
ठीक है.
Next, we're doing question 8. Can I clear the board?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Notice in question number 8, it doesn't say in part 1 that sketch the, factorize the expression, because it's probably not possible to factorize it. If you even enter this quadratic expression in the calculator directly, you will not get an exact answer. You'll get decimal answers. That means it can't be solved using middle term breaking. Hence, they haven't asked you to factorize it. Question number 8. It can't be factorized. But still we have to sketch it. So to sketch it, we still need the roots where the curve cuts the x and the y axis. So that can be found using quadratic formula. So I'm going to use quadratic formula. X equals minus b plus minus square root b square minus 4ac upon 2a. So what is this going to be equals
So I have a
to?
question. जब हम calculator में solve करते हैं quadratic equation, तो doesn't it solve it using the formula?
It does, but when you're being asked to factorize, तो आपने वो दो brackets दिखाने होते हैं.
जैसे अगर हम लोग यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली कैलकुलेटर से सॉल्व करके आंसर्स लिखें,
लेकिन वो होल नंबर में आंसर ही नहीं आएंगे, एग्जैक्ट आंसर नहीं आएंगे. वो आंसर आएगा 3.1428986. तो फिर उसको तो हम मिडिल टर्म ब्रेकिंग से नहीं कर सकते. अगर ऐसा आंसर आए ना, x is equals to half and x equals to 1, so you can take it a step back and show the last part of factorization. You कर सकते हो. However, if your answer is 8.394257, this you can't. This was not achieved through factorization. This was achieved
right,
through quadratic formula. Yeah, you are not getting exact values. Okay, so let's see what are the roots. Now I'm going to enter this in the calculator directly. So 2 and minus 15 and minus 18. That's giving me, देखो अब ये third form में answer आ रहा है. I'm getting x equals 15 plus 3 under root 41 over 4. So इसको तो हम factorize नहीं कर सकते. And the other one is the same fraction but with a negative sign in between. So I'm getting the roots are, I'm going to round it off to 2 decimal place, 8.55. And the other one is minus 1.05. Okay. So let's mark these on the x-axis. Let's say this is 8.55. And let's say this is minus 1.05. Now we have to establish whether it's going to be u or an upside down u. Can you tell me that?
this would be a normal u.
Sorry?
से एक normal u बनेगा, not u.
It's going to be u because it's just plus 2x squared. It's going
Yes.
to be something like this. There has to be a very symmetric u. Something like this. Okay, now let's find the mid value here. Now it's not going to be an exact value क्योंकि हमने थोड़ी rounding की है. Minus 1.05 plus 8.55 divided by 2. So roughly it's 3.75 after rounding. It's going to be 3.75, comma. Let's find y. Y equals 2 times 3.75 whole square minus 15 times 3.75 minus 80. Okay, so 2 into answer square minus 15 into answer minus 80. It's giving me minus 46.125. So these are the coordinates of turning point 3.75 and minus 46.125.
Yes, I've copied it. You can move on.
Okay. I'm going to end this lesson and then we're going to start quadratic inequality. ये basic graphs का topic हो गया. ठीक है?
All right.
All right, see you.